Welcome to another edition of Mailbag. And right up front, if you're sitting there thinking, I watched that video the other day, the reason is because I'm recording one block header for all the Mailbag items I'm going to be filming this afternoon. I was filming outside in the workshop, but it's got too cold, so I've moved inside to the orange corner. So here we go. Now remember, Mailbag are questions, comments, and various other things that you guys leave on the channel or you email me directly that I think are worth airing. So before we get going, parish notices. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, why not? Tell your friends, tell the street, tell the world, get them to subscribe. I jest. But if you seriously haven't subscribed to the channel and you like videos about this sort of stuff and musical equipment in general, then subscribe. If you want to be notified when those sort of videos hit the channel, you really need to press that bell icon as well. If you like the content of the video, give it a thumbs up. Down below, leave comments. I do read the comments, I respond to the comments, and sometimes I even make videos about the comments you guys leave, so they give me ideas about future content for the channel. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you can support the channel and support the production of videos. The address of the TMTG community is down the bottom there, as are the Facebook and Instagram feeds, where all the channel notices during the week are posted, and obviously the release of videos is posted over there as well. But now, back to the next mailbag item. Okay. This one is from Migraine Gain, and in response to a video I did in November 2020 about I overlooked the SY85, amongst other things. I think it was a mailbag by the looks of it. And Migraine writes, I've noticed the SY85 starting to follow that upwards price trend most good 90s gear has over the last few years. It's been cheap as chips up until this summer. Now good ones are double what they were, so I guess people are finally cotton on how good it is. Friends that have a mess around with one of mine are always shocked by the quality of the analog emulations, the effects, and just how punchy the bass sounds are. I now have 3. Well, you lucky bugger. And 2 TG500s. For those that don't know, the TG500, if I remember correctly, is the rack mount equivalent of the SY85. I finally found the storage box for my USB drive and about 150 floppies of samples, SYN files and song. As long as someone feeds me on occasion, I don't need to leave home ever again. Maybe I'm responsible for the SY85 because I did my SY85 video, what was it, probably May, April. I'm not looking at the video at the moment. So he's saying that the price went up in the summer, so maybe I'm responsible for that. I do apologise if it was me. My experience of the SY85 really comes from acquiring it early this year, and then as you well know, I've got an SY77 as well, which I haven't showcased on the channel yet. I do intend to showcase it on the channel, but there's some bits and bobs that need to be repaired on it, and I've kind of got to get into gear of doing it. The problem is, out here at the moment, it's a bit cold to spend a lot of time out here doing that. I mean, prior to shooting this video, I've had the heater on out here, which makes it kind of bearable. But I kind of have to stop every 30 minutes or so, put the heater back on so that it becomes bearable. And when I started this, it was light out there, so you can see where we are. Anyway, the bottom line with these SY units is they don't come up for sale very often. The SY85 was offered to me directly. Sorry, I bought the SY85, but the SY77 was offered to me directly. So I haven't, And if you watch eBay, you just don't see them coming up, or if you do see them coming up, you don't see them coming up in very good nick. which requires a lot to be done to them. Now the SY77 I've got does need some bits doing to them, but they're all bits around standard what I'd expect to be broken for a synth this age, and it's typically the disk drive. Okay, that's the Achilles heel of these synths, the disk drive. They were rubbish. But the point is they don't surface very often, and that could be because they're sitting in the back of cupboards or garages. The owner has brought the other Whizzy keyboards. They've broken the floppy, which I said was the Achilles heel. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's lots of these things that have been sitting in people's cupboards. Maybe people have watched the SY85 videos I've done, and videos that other people have done about the SY85 and gone and got their machines out of the cupboard. I know for a fact, with YouTube, are starting to realise that these synths are great boxes and how cheap they have been to acquire. Of course, vendors have long since dropped support for the platform, so you're looking at YouTube to try and understand what's going wrong with them, which is probably why the series of videos I did on the SY85 restoration have had so many hits. I mean, when I say so many hits, I mean they've had a number of hits, but it's not like millions of hits. If they had millions of hits, I'd be a millionaire. But I'm not. So as you know, the channel states that this older equipment is great value for it. You get a lot of synth for your buck, and I'm going to do a video shortly on the D20 and the D110. Because again, they were great synths. They really were great synths, but they were kind of overshadowed by the D50. You get a lot of synth, you get a lot of sound, you get a lot of capability. Yes, it's not very user-friendly in a lot of instances, but if you're prepared to sort of work at it a bit, you actually get something that you've picked up fairly cheaply, will give you a lot of what you're after for not a lot of cash. And I think people are starting to cotton on to this. They don't need the latest Nautilus, they don't need the latest Phantom to produce good music. You need a good set of equipment. Now, yes, I own a Kronos. Yes, I own an Oasis. But you don't need that stuff to make good music. You just need solid instruments. I don't think collectors are buying this stuff now. I think musicians, Joe keyboard player in Backstreet Band is starting to log on to these instruments. And I said on the channel, the series of videos I did about bringing the SY85 had so many hits with people that have either found the SY85 or had the SY85 and forgotten about it and are bringing it back out of the cupboard. Honestly, guys, if you're watching this mailbag and you're hearing what I'm saying, the SY85, the 77, and the 99 were flagship synthesizers back in the day. And honestly, if you're looking for something, then you can't go far wrong with them. Yes, the prices are starting to go up. The other thing I would say about this is that if you are gigging, don't rely on one of these synths as your main rig synthesizer. Yes, they are good synths to have. Yes, they're great in the studio. But when you're on the road, you need something that works every night as soon as you plug it in. And that may not be some of this legacy tech. So you might need to sort of tamper your keyboard rig with a combination of the old and the new. Now, I've been listening to a podcast with some Australians who have been interviewing some sort of prominent keyboard players with some fairly well-known acts. And one of the things that you realise from their keyboard rigs is they have this diversification of the new and the old. They sort of talk with great joy about the Hammond organ. I've got a Hammond, I've got this, I've got that. But there's always something brand new in that rig, because they know that will work every night. Whereas the Hammond, you blow it on, you blow a tube on a Hammond, you are completely up the creek without a paddle, unless you've got spare tubes, and very few people will be carrying spare tubes for a proper Hammond. Anyway, good question. Yes, I think there's a lot of value in these old platforms, and don't buy them all up before I get my bucket list. Live long and prosper. Bye bye.